Hi, hello, welcome to Let's Talk About Writing. I'm super excited today. I have a special guest. We have a special guest today. It's Teri Karjala, right?
You
Right?
got it. You
Okay.
got it. You got
Super.
it.
I'm so excited to have you today. So let's talk about writing. It's all about writing. And Terry, you are a coach, but you are also an author. And so today we are here to talk about writing.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So we are starting the conversation. It's just a conversation about your book,
Hmm.
which I have and I love. And I would love to know, first of all, if you can show us your book, if you have it.
Oh, yes, I have
Ra-
it. Yeah, I figured. I was like, I better grab it just in case.
Magic.
There you
Yeah,
go.
thank you.
See the magic
Thank
of
you.
you. There we go. Yep.
And so, when did you start writing your book?
I am probably going to be the interview that you're going to regret having because I did not do any of the way like most people write a book, right? I feel like
Okay.
so everyone who's listening, don't do it the way I did it. Do it the way Odelia teaches you because you need a coach. I'm just going to throw it out there and just say you're in good hands with her and like work with her, okay? Because like I went, what? Like, what am I doing? Okay, so honestly, like I never wanted to write a book. In all fairness, and there's a lot of people that want to write books. That was on their bucket list. That was not on my bucket list. And when I started speaking, everyone was like, you know what? You have to have a book if you're going to speak. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a rule breaker in most areas of my life. And I'm like, that's dumb rule. Like, so I spoke for a long time before having, quote, a book. Okay. And how the book came about is I used to write, and I wasn't against writing because I was writing for Color and Biz magazine. I was highlighted in other magazines and columns and things like that. Like, so I wasn't opposed to writing. But I just didn't ever see myself writing a book. And so a friend of mine was like, Teri, you probably should write a book and blah, blah, blah. And then over time, she just kept becoming more and more incessant. And I feel like she turned into like the stalker. And so I told her, I said, if I write this book, will you stop stalking me? And she's like, yes. So I really did it out of necessity of getting the stalker off my back. Okay. And she's a good friend, right? So we can joke about this. Like there was no one harmed in the making of this book. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the
Right.
clip,
Just for the record.
for the
So
recording.
what I did, and I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm going to be like, you're going to correct me because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, right? So especially when it comes to like self-help books and things like that, because that's what it was. It's a self-help book. And I had taken out, I was like, okay, if I were to write a book, what would I write about? Right. So I had I had created an outline on what I would have written about. Right. And then I went to my computer and I was like, is there anything that I've already written about this topic? So then I pulled up pages and pages. And again, I did print everything. Okay. There might have been one tree harmed in the making of this book. Okay. So so I printed everything out, and then I was like, okay, chapter one, this would go to chapter one, this would go to chapter two. Didn't have anything for chapter three, then chapter four, and then chapter five, and then I had a little scribblings, but like not really much. And then so I laid my entire book out across the floor. Okay, chapter one to chapter 12, or chapter 11 actually. And so then I was like, okay, where was I missing? Where was I, needing to fill in and backfill and all that thing. So then that's what I did. And then I was probably like some of your folks, really reluctant to hit the send button. Like I got it done, and then I waited another. I mean, my stalker had to like kind of keep. She's like, "You have it done," like, and I had it edited. I had it multiple edits, and then I professionally edited it through a company, and then I still was really reluctant on hitting the send button. And I think because you think you've gotten all the mistakes out of the book. And here's what I will tell you. You're still going to have mistakes. I think I don't even know what page. I have a mistake in one of my pull quotes. Okay, I'm just saying. like, but it had been gone through for 5 edits. okay? Professionally editors, like, edit, and there's still mistakes in it. So you're going to still have mistakes, okay? And you're going to still have that one person who picks it out, and that's okay. Like, just be like, okay, thank you. I'll let the 5 editors and the, book publisher know that they made a mistake, not me. Just kidding. um, Anyway, so, and then in the 11th hour, my girlfriend's like, you need to have someone write your forward. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you didn't tell me that. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, seriously, just look at this done, right? So in the 11th hour, I was like, okay, who am I going to have write my forward? And I set the intentions of a strong, dynamic woman. Okay. And what happened is I did not get that. I kept getting the message, very divinely guided message for Jack Canfield. And I'm like, he's not a woman. Like, what is happening? So I couldn't resist. Like, that's what it was. So I called Jack Canfield's office up, and people love hearing this story about how did you get a celebrity to endorse your book. So it's a little bit of a long story, but that'll be another conversation for another time. But essentially, I called his office up and I said, hey, Jack, or I talked to Veronica, who had been with him, I think 26, 27 years. And I was like, hey, how does, hey, I'm getting this download that I think Jack Canfield's supposed to be writing my forward. Like, I'm so bold. I'm so bold. I'm like, oh, yeah, let me just call. And I was like, well, what's the process? And she's like, Teri, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but you should get a plan B. And so for folks that know me, I had plan A. And so I got really clear on what I was doing. I cleared my energy. I, got really intentional. I started doing all the tools and energetics that I like to play with in my world. And then I started to, really attract it into my existence. And so 8 months later, Jack Canfield wrote my forward. And she had said that he gets 200 requests per week and rarely writes forwards anymore. And so it was pretty magical, and it all lined up. And there's like this whole kind of backstory to that, and it was pretty interesting because I went and I actually volunteered for some of his events and got in front of him, and there was a couple of moments where he was just like, wait, Teri? And I'm like, and you could see the wheels turning for him, and it was beautiful. And I'm like, and a friend of mine, I befriended this lady on this trip, and she was like, why did he say your name like that? And I'm like, he was putting 2 and 2 together. Like, he was putting all the things together. And she's like, oh, okay. Anyways, wrote my forward. That helped. That opened up a lot of doors. So I will tell your audience, again, if you're self-publishing, it's one way. If you can find a celebrity, if you can find somebody who is known as an influencer to write your forward, it does help open more doors, because people are like, oh, I got more speaking engagements as a result of it. So it is a nice way to leverage your piece. And again, I don't know what your philosophy is on this, Adela, but I was like, for me, like my expectations of the book is like, it's a fancy business card. And so, yes, when I go and speak, people want to take you home with them. And so the book is an easy way for them to take a piece of you home, for them to learn more about you, for them to start implementing and practicing what you have been talking about.
In their own, when they want to, and absolutely. But so I really want to know, so when all that started, like
oh my gosh, I want to say, so I wrote the book so the book was published in 2018.
Oh, okay. So, you published a book in 2018. And when did you started like writing the book?
I would say it was a solid 8 years.
Okay.
Like, I didn't want to write it. Like, I had no motivation.
No, I know.
Like,
yeah.
So, like, I think it was like an 8-year like process. So I'd have it on the back burner, and then my friend was like, okay, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, from start to finish, again, I had no systems. I had no support. I had no, so all of that stuff, because I was like, I didn't, so this is why you want to get a coach.
Yeah, no. So about the coach, and it's really interesting because I was just talking with someone before that, and I was saying I do not have a system, guys. And I'm a writing coach. Like, no, I don't have a system, because my way of guiding is actually, we do have a structure, but in between is really flexible, and it's really depending on the person I have with me and the coaching, because I really believe it's really intimate and really personal, and we are not system, we are not robots. So
Well, and it depends on what type of book you're writing, right? Like, um,
absolutely.
I wish I would have known, and I was able to make it work, and it did make sense randomly. The system
Hmm.
that I like in my head, because I love systems, and especially if you're like an author, I mean,
Hmm.
a speaker, an author, and you're like wanting
Hmm.
more kind of on the self help or more in that realm.
Hmm.
For me, there was like if you have at least 12 chapters.
Hmm.
Actually, do you want me to draw this out real quick? Would this be helpful?
What?
Just like a little system that I have that makes
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah, of course, no worries, of course you can do it. I have system too, but I don't like to call
I
them
don't care. I don't care because
system, you
I don't
know.
write this. I don't write this. I like like I'm like
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
so but I love this and I'm gonna show this because I think it's brilliant.
Like, I don't call that a system. It's really depending on what the person need. Because when you have one system, for some people, it's not the right one, you
Yeah,
know. So
yeah, yeah.
when I
It
think we
depends
need
on
to.
like if like for coaches for me like if they have a program people this system works with people that have programs or
Okay.
they want to extend their lanes or
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
more offerings. But it wouldn't be for everybody for sure.
Okay.
So and I was able to do this with my book. We'll call X, Y, T, and then I'm almost here. Okay. Um, okay, I won't fill in the rest. So especially for people that are like doing coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
So chapter 1 through 12, okay, there's 12 months in a year. So if you think about this is a beginning. So the first 4 chapters is your foundation of
Mm-hmm.
all the foundation of getting that person wherever they're taking. Most coaches will take
Mm-hmm.
someone from point A to point B to point C, right? So if you think about beginning, middle, end, right? You have the first four chapters are the beginning, like the foundation. The second 4 chapters are the middle, the juicy, like whatever that is. And then the third is like your expansion, right? Like here's I'm like for me it was like here's I'm working with clients to unblock their all of the top 5 blocks, self-sabotage, imposter, limiting beliefs, all of that piece of it, getting stuck in fear and overwhelm. Then the middle part is the transformation part. How do we go from that reality to the new reality? And there's a waxing and waning that happens because we're changing the neural pathways in the brain. And the brain's like, wait, what? This is a new reality. And then the last part is like really the experiential part of it, like stepping in and embodying that new version, that 2.0 version of yourself. And how do you show up and how do you become a master manifestor and attractor in that right? So beginning, middle, end. But this is program A, or sorry, I have X. Program X, Y, Z. So if you
Mm.
want to, this can all be a talk. This could all be a talk. This could be all talk. This you could have a high level 1, 1, and 1, and it incorporates that. Like there's so many ways that you can use this
Oh,
as a
wow.
coach and then again, this is a program. This could be a program. You could lengthen your lane here. You could add more on the foundational piece. You could lengthen your lane here. You could lengthen your lane here, or you could lengthen your lane here. I mean, it's just like it's so expansive, right? And then over here, you have your social media month. So you have January. So first chapter, January. Second chapter, March. Or
Oh, wow.
February,
February. Yeah.
March, April, May, June, July, August, September, November, December, right? So then you can incorporate that into your social media platform. You can then, again, when I talk about, when people create content, you can take one piece of content and use it 5 ways. So this can be your driver of what to talk about. Okay, I'm gonna start at the foundation,
Oh,
beginning,
wow.
and then you can build on that, and so then you can expand that piece out, right? Like it's so expansive, right? So I hope you guys can see that. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Again, um, not all talks, obviously, but for folks that are, having programming or having, offerings beyond, their story,
Yeah, it's
their book,
amazing.
right? And so you can become really expansive on how you can build that out and expand that in lots of different ways.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So what I do most, it's like it's a little different because I'm doing most like memoir and personal
Yeah,
legacy.
that can't do
So
stories. Notice,
no,
notice,
it's a
warning, warning,
it,
cannot do.
no,
Like
yeah,
I love
no,
as a person, I'm always like, how do I collapse time? How do I
yeah.
make it smarter? How do we work smarter, not harder? How do we like
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
No,
it's
and
expansive, yeah.
no, and anyway,
The
it's for
memoirs and your stories and your like, you know, you're almost like the your legacy leaving, you know,
yeah.
stories can't be really systemized in
It's
that way.
for more. It's more for yeah. But anyhow, for let's talk about writing. We are talking about a lot of different stuff, and it's a conversation. We can
Yeah.
go wherever we want, so no worries. I took like it took me like 10 years for my first book, so I'm really
I
happy when
yeah,
you.
I hear
I'm
you.
I'm happy when you say it took you also a long time. Um, I really believe this is a process and we need to be like really careful. But you did talk about editing. And so I love that when people realize after writing a book that there are like 7 or 8 editing process, different editing process, and people don't know. They're like,
And yeah, I had all three. I had the what you would know them, like the content, or the story, the content, and then like the, you know, the nuts and bolts of the language, you know. So
and I
all
also, yeah, and I also recommend to people always have like at least 2 level of editing of proofreading and everything. Yeah, at least, which is really important. But as you said, it will be always something wrong, a little mistakes here and there. And
I
it,
think
I
there's
know,
some great joy. I was reading somebody's book the other day. Whose was I reading? I think it was, I can't remember whose book it was. Mel Robbins' book or anyways, and I was like, there was an error, and I'm like, and I, of course, I'm not going to reach out there and be like, there's an error on page 4 on paragraph second on the third word. But I'm like, I'm just like, I'm so joyful. I'm like, yes, even these big time celebrities have errors on their pages. So like, I'm just saying, because what happens is you know this, is like when someone's reading it, your brain, as long as you get the first word letter right and the last letter right, your brain will correct it. So it's really hard for editing. I'm just saying, like, I don't know that there's, you know, even Grammarly can't catch everything, but like, again, like AI can't even catch this stuff, but like your brain is, especially humans.
AI is doing a lot of mistakes. So about AI, I really love AI, and I think it's really a good tool. And I had actually a lady who want to write a book, something for a business. I'm like, don't waste your time working with me because I'm doing memoir for people over 50. So go to it, do it for ChatGPT. But I think it's really an important tool. We need to know how to use. As a writing coach, I'm not against AI.
Yeah.
Seriously not, but I'm not also feeling like I will lose my business because what I do is really so personal, and
Yeah.
so
And
AI.
cats can't pick that up necessarily. I can't pick that up. He said they don't have, and it has no sense of humor. Just saying, chat has no sense of humor. And I'm like, try to be more funny. Like, it doesn't get it. Like, anyways, so
Yeah,
there's some limitations to it. So, to your point, yes, like use where you can, you know where you can use it and know where it's out of bounds, you know?
absolutely. And it does a lot of mistake. And to write your memoir for lasting legacy would be a really annoying process with ChatGPT because you will need to put all your life. So let's go and do a book, like,
I know, especially for like, yeah, for those types of books, no way would I,
No,
and
not a
I don't
memoir.
even think you get that in your story is your words, like there's something to, not take away from that. And I think that's why, AI may take over other parts of the world, but I think this piece, like people still want to hear human, and people right now are already tuning out from media. Like they see stuff that's AI and they're already like marketing stuff. They're already checking it. Nope, that's AI. That's AI. That's AI, which is yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I think we're gonna swing the dial because right now that we're going way over to AI, I think the dial is gonna get swung back in the middle at some point because people are gonna still want to have human interactions, human connections. human conversation.
Yeah.
Because people are like,
But
wait,
my
that's the thing.
but my question is, I'm even though I'm a writing coach, I don't think like I don't understand really why some people are against, because for me it's like talking about the internet. So when I was younger, we didn't have the internet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And for me, saying no to AI is like saying no to internet. Like,
yeah.
no, I won't use the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I just
Seriously?
I just met a guy. I interviewed a guy on our show the other day, and he wrote his entire book on AI, and except for chapter 3. And so he's like, written by AI except for chapter 3, and he wanted to write chapter 3. It was just funny, right? Like it's, but people know like it's written by AI except for chapter 3. So I mean, he
It's
can't get
okay.
any awards. He can't get any awards. He can't get any Amazon bestseller things like that. You can't do. So that's the cop out there. But like and yeah, so you just have to be mindful of where you're using, because I know that there are on Amazon and things like they check it to make sure how much. And I think you would know this. Like, is it
I
20%?
think they have a new, so it's really changing a lot. And now it's like they're asking if you use AI, yes or no. And you just can say, yeah, I use AI, which I'm
Yeah,
not using for my memoir. Like, I'm not using it for writing my own story. But yeah, they're asking if you use AI, and you can say yes or no. Now, if you are saying I didn't and you did, you will be in big trouble with Amazon. They will put you in a blacklist, and you don't want to do that.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and going back to your question, like how long it took me to write a book. After that, I wrote several other products. So I had other, like I had my intentions planners, I have my evidence journal, I have 2 other decks of cards, and all of that took like within a year. And so it just, so again, sometimes it just takes like you getting going. Now I have one other book in me that's more of a
That's
reference.
what I was going to ask you. Yeah, I want
But
to ask you that. What is the
I'm
next one?
and it's more of a reference book. So what I envision it is something that's physical that people can have in their car, and you can have tabbies and you flip to what you need, right? However, now it's been I'm probably 98% done. It's a mammoth though. It's like, and I'm like, now I'm starting to think that although I would love something physical, right? I'm thinking it might be an app now. I know, which is all the content's there. It's just like it would be an
Which
app.
you can do with ChatGPT.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So now I'm kind of like, and now I'm kind of like, well, and it's one of those things that it's like it hasn't been speaking to me right now to pull off the shelf, but I was very adamant. I'm never writing another book because that was insane, right? And so this other one is, I feel like, is more of like a reference book. It's like, you know, loading people up with the tools that they need at the time they need it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It is not. Again, it might take another 8 years for that one to come off the shelf. I don't know.
No, of course not, because mine, the first one took me 10 years, and my children book took me like, oh, almost 8 years. But I know I wrote more books and it didn't take me that long. I have
Yeah.
another book which I finished. I didn't publish yet, but it took me like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, when you do it again, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that.
It gets easier. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's depending on the process you need to go through. And again, if it's depending on what kind of book, yeah, because a memoir for me was
Yeah.
more a therapeutic.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
so I needed to process more stuff. But if I'm doing a guide or something, I don't know which I'm doing actually, it will be like, okay, I did it in 10 days. So now I'm redoing it because I think 10 days way too short. So I need, but it's really depending on what you are doing. So
Yeah.
what is one message, the one message you want to share in that one book you published, like one
Yeah.
message?
One message. You know, as much as I was against, if you're speaking, you should have a book. I do agree. It's a way to edify yourself in front of, especially for the speakers and coaches that are out there. It is a great way. to edify yourself. It's a great way to up level your game. And so as much as I was resistant to it, I do, believe in that, having a book is a great way to help build your brand, help to, increase your impact, your income, your influence for sure. And I would say this for everyone who was in my seat or maybe even in your seat too, is just, keep going through the motions, and there's no like rightness or wrongness, whether it takes you 10 years or 8 years or 5 years or 3 years or 24 days. Like there's no judgment of how long it takes you. It takes you how long it needs to take you to get you to get to the place. So, be kind on yourself and just know that there are going to be these mistakes. And I would say go for 95%. Go for 95%. Don't go for 120%, because you're going to keep the story inside of you instead of being able to release it. Because when we get our story out, whether it's a memoir or whether it's a coaching tool or whether it's a teaching strategy or whether it's your own modality that you're teaching, when we externalize that, we're going to have so much more impact instead of sharing, keeping it with ourselves. So I always say, we bake brownies to share. Share your brownies, okay? Don't be like snapping people away. Get out there and share your message with people, because you never know who that one person is that you're going to impact without having your book and your message. And everyone that we are serving are 10,000 steps behind us. So you're serving the people that are not, they don't have your knowledge or resources in your, intellect until you help to support them, raising them up. And your coach and your mentor are going to be 10,000 steps ahead of you, right? And so we're all on this journey of growth and expansion and evolution. So don't be afraid to get out there and just do it.
Thank you so much. I love it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. And if anyone wants to connect, they can just go to talkingwithteri.com/connect. That is the fastest way to connect with me. And yeah, I'd love to
have. And your book, where can we find your book?
You can find it online on my website, talkingwithteri.com. That's TERI.com, or they can go on Amazon. And on my website, you can bundle them. You can do all.
I love the title. It's so amazing.
Well, the title, I actually wanted a different title. My title I wanted was Live Deliciously. And I was talking to an IP attorney, and he's like, I think people are going to think that's about food.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so he walked out, and McCormick there was no licensing issue at the time, but he's like, if McCormick, the spice company, if they decided to do a cookbook, there might be some problems. So I was like, I don't need to go up against McCormick. And he walked out, and he's like, hey, into the waiting area. He's like, how many of you think, what do you think live deliciously means? 60% said food, the other 40% said transformation. He's like, see? And I was like, okay, good point. And then my clients, they kept saying, working with you is like, I feel like I have a magic wand. And so that theme kept coming up. And so be the magic of you. The word magic actually means to stand in your power and own your power. And so I was like, that's perfect. So be the magic of you, tools to transform your life came about. So, yeah.
I love it. So amazing.
Awesome. And like I said, I will just put a plug in. Like, you don't have to do this by yourself. You don't have to do this by alone. Have accountability partner. Have someone walking the walk with you. It's way easier when you have someone on your side helping and encourage you, because you will find yourself getting into your own, stories of like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not blah, blah, blah. And so having a coach to walk along that side can make the journey way easier. So, reach out to and connect with Adelia
and Teri, and we have enough for everyone, abundance. So yeah, I love it so much. Oh wow, thank you so much. It was so amazing. Thank you for another a really great conversation. Let's talk about writing. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.